It was the kind of audition that should have broken the internet. A voice so powerful it made one judge cry and another go silent. But you never saw it. No one did. On that day, while the world watched another carefully edited episode of American Idol, something happened behind the scenes. Something so raw, so unexpected, it was immediately buried. John Foster stepped onto that stage carrying more than a dream. What unfolded next stunned the room, rattled the crew, and sparked a quiet panic behind the cameras. Producers whispered, a signal was given, and just like that, his moment vanished. The cameras kept rolling, but that footage never made it to air. You've probably never heard the name John Foster. He never made it to your TV screen. No headlines, no iTunes single, no reunion tour. But behind the scenes of American Idol, his audition left a mark so deep it was quietly erased, like it never happened. John wasn't just another hopeful chasing fame. He was carrying something heavy, something that poured into every note he sang. What happened on that stage should have moved millions. Instead, it was locked away. By the end of this video, you'll know why John's story was buried and why millions might have cried if it had been shown. If stories like this grip you to the core, hit subscribe. We dig deep into the moments television tried to forget. John Foster grew up in a quiet, faded town where dreams felt more like rumors than real possibilities. His house sat at the edge of a gravel road, surrounded by overgrown weeds and rusted fences. Inside, life was even heavier. His mother, once a vibrant school teacher, was bedridden, fighting a disease that stole more of her each day. John didn't speak much as a child, but he sang. In empty garages, abandoned barns, and the echoing stillness of the town's old church, his voice became his only language, a mixture of pain and prayer. He never sang for applause, he sang to survive. When the American Idol auditions were announced, his family didn't have enough money for the trip, so his father did something unthinkable. He sold their only car, a rusted sedan that barely ran but held years of memories. "Take the shot," he said. "You only get one." John kissed his mother's forehead, stepped onto a bus with a second-hand jacket and a dream stitched together from grief, hope, and raw talent. He never imagined that dream would be silenced before it even began. Then came John Foster. He walked in slowly, hands clenched, shoulders slightly hunched. Not stage fright, something deeper. He greeted the judges with a soft voice, cracked from nerves or maybe the weight he carried. They nodded, expecting another ordinary performance. Then he sang. The first note was shaky, but then his voice unfolded. Raw, haunting, almost spiritual. It wasn't technical perfection. It was pain made musical. Every lyric held history. His fingers trembled slightly at his side, but he didn't stop. Midway through, one of the judges leaned forward, visibly stunned. Another discreetly wiped a tear, hiding behind their notepad. The room, usually so animated, stood still. Then, applause. One judge stood, clapping slowly, eyes fixed on John like he'd just seen something sacred. But before any words were spoken, a voice called out off camera. A producer. A quick, quiet conversation. The judges shifted uncomfortably. One of them looked down, and then everything changed. Whispers started circulating a week after the audition. Not in the press, but among crew members, insiders, and a few rejected contestants who noticed John never showed up for the next round. The rumors were subtle, yet chilling. Someone had found John's old blog, a personal corner of the internet where he'd written about his battles with depression, thoughts of isolation, and growing up surrounded by pain. Vulnerable, honest, and apparently problematic. A leaked internal email from a junior production assistant surfaced months later. It mentioned a directive: prioritize clean image contestants for broadcast consideration. No names, no details. But for those who knew the story, it was clear. John's audition was never aired. The footage wasn't included in any montage, not even a blooper reel. There was no call, no apology, just silence. He was sent home the next day, holding the same jacket he arrived in, and a question that would haunt him for years. What did I do wrong? The local paper ran a short piece. Hometown singer cut in early rounds of American Idol. That was it. No mention of what really happened. He stopped singing in public. No more open mics. No more church performances, but he didn't stop writing. His notebooks filled with lyrics that no one would ever hear. The dream hadn't just ended, it had quietly bled out. Years later, someone stumbled across a forgotten YouTube channel under his name. No profile picture, no banner, just a handful of videos, rough recordings, low quality, deeply emotional. One upload stood out, titled simply Unseen. It showed John in a dimly lit room, sitting on a creaky stool. His voice was softer now, tired, but still reaching for something real. The song ended with silence, and then a quiet, almost whispered line. Maybe next time, they'll listen. Years after the spotlight faded, a grainy video appeared on an obscure corner of the internet. No title, no tags, just a single clip uploaded by an anonymous account. It was John Foster's audition, unedited, uncut. The voice was still raw, still broken, still breathtaking. Within hours, comment after comment flooded in. How did this never air? This would have changed the entire season. I can't stop crying, but the flood of love came too late. John Foster had passed away in 2019, alone and unheard, never knowing how deeply his voice could move the world. They silenced the footage, they buried the moment, but they couldn't silence the truth forever. Stories like John's remind us that truth doesn't always get a spotlight, but we're here to change that. Subscribe so no voice like his gets forgotten again.